Hello again, everybody. This is Joel Thomas from Ancilla College, and this video is going to show you how to use the Census website. We're especially looking at it for our Writing 2 class because we're doing papers about a community need, and we may have another project later on that you might want to use the census for. And this can be one of the best ways of finding information about a specific local community. And yes, you can Google a lot of these things or use other search engines, and you'll find good information that way too. But the census is the government office charged with gathering the specific information, and you might be surprised at all the different things that they offer on their website. So we're going to just look at a very few of these. Hopefully you'll just take some additional time and look through the census website and find even more stuff that you can use. And of course they have a handy search bar. So let's get started looking at the US Census website and just look at a few of the features they offer that can help us with our work for this class. We're going to look at the search bar right up top, and if nothing else, you can get in there and use that. Sometimes that can be a matter of knowing the right words to use. Sometimes if you type in the word, I'll show you DATA for data, or data, depending on how you want to pronounce it, and start off that way, that will help narrow it down enough in the system to look for something. So let's look at some of the individual places you can look. X that out there. First of all, I want to draw your attention to about the middle of the page, or lower on the page, depending on how your screen looks, in Quick Facts. And you'll see the US Census page has a lot of different pieces to it, a lot of different videos. And this being a census year, 2020, they have a lot going on. And just a quick background in case you don't know what the census is. The census gathers information about all of the people who live in the United States. And they gather lots of information. We'll look at the different types of information here in just a minute. And this being 2020, they do the census major push every 10 years. And everyone is expected to fill out some basic information just about where they live and some of the other pieces of information. There are also ongoing projects with what's called the American Community Survey, and we'll look at that in just a moment. And that takes place not just every 10 years. So let's get started with some basic information. We're going to look down toward the bottom of this page. Quick Facts, access local data. Well, that sounds like something we might need for our community needs paper. So let's click on that. And this allows you to do a pretty simple search. It starts off really broadly with just the United States, but it allows you to look very carefully at specific locations. So you can go right up where my cursor is and look at a specific state, county, city, town, or zip code. You can search there. You can also access another way we'll look at here in just a minute. And then you can also select a specific fact if you want to look at that. Now these things will be on here as well as we scroll down. They're going to cover just in the basic area, so you don't necessarily need to look for just one thing. So let's look for our local area of Plymouth. We're going to enter the zip code just for fun, 46563. And it'll show Plymouth City, Indiana. And I did this to note that sometimes it will put it'll designate where there's a city, because sometimes there's also a county. I was watching a training video on this where people were using New York, and there are cities and boroughs within the larger New York City area, so they have to sometimes designate there a little bit. So we're just going to do that, and then we'll select Plymouth. We'll do this one more time. Select it there. And then you can select a specific fact, or you can just look right here and it's got everything for you to scroll through. So if we look over here, it's going to be in this middle column and compared to the United States. And what you are going to see early on here is they have a population estimated back in 2018. Of course, that gets updated every year with an estimate, and then they'll have the official count here in 2020 that they'll come up with. So you can see that it's stayed within a couple hundred over the last decade here, and they do show that there has been a slight percentage change. And they have the official population as of April 1st, 2010. That's what it was. So you can scroll down here and look and see what percentage is which ages and sexes, and you can kind of see that. And this might be helpful if you're doing a paper about a specific age population, or again, the larger word we might use for that in other categories is demographic. So if you're doing a paper about the need to improve services for young children in an area, or for senior citizens, you can look and see, well, we have this percentage of senior citizens, and this is how it compares to the United States. Or what you can do is you can go in here and add and select here, and they're just going to give you Indiana, no state or anything here to select. And then you've added Indiana here, and you can then compare and say, well, compared to the rest of Indiana, person 65 years and over, well, right, exactly the same. But the percentage of females in Plymouth is a little higher than the rest of the state in Indiana, maybe only 2%, not a ton. And again, they're going to get into some race and Hispanic origin there. They're going to show you how many veterans live. And again, we have Indiana in this column, Plymouth in this column, foreign-born persons. You're going to look at housing units. And again, you may not care about a lot of these things, but these things are made so people can find this information. And there are places that make their decisions based on what they find here. You can see here, as you scroll along the top, the different categories or whatever that you're looking at stay the same. But you can see that, in Indiana, the median value of a housing unit was this, and it's a lot lower in Plymouth. Well, what does that mean? This is what costs were per month, and compare them. This is what rent is in Indiana, and this is what average rent is, or median, I should say. Median and average are not the same. For those of you in statistics classes, you can explain that to the rest of us better. But you can see how these compare. That average rent in the United States is over $1,000, but it's significantly cheaper in Plymouth, and somewhere in between in the overall in the state of Indiana. So again, we won't go through all of this, but I wanted you to see computer and internet use, education, health, economy, transportation, income and poverty. There's information about businesses, population per square mile, things like that. Now, they even have transportation, like how long your travel time is to work. And you can see that people who live in Plymouth travel 19.1 minutes as opposed to everywhere else. It's a little bit more. Okay, so that's how to get into some basic information about an area. You can pull things up also using a map. And here it's going to pop up what we're already looking at. So let's look at a map of Indiana. And they're going to show population estimates. And as you scroll in, they're going to give you some information. You have to kind of wait for it to catch up on it for you a little bit here. But you can find this information. And again, you might have to scroll and use it a little bit. But this is something where you could do a screen capture and edit it a little bit and use it within a paper if you get this working really well. I find that this tends to be a little hit and miss, and they have different shades and things that you use. I'm trying to do it faster than what it's trying to give me, but it's a pretty good page in general. We're going to back out of this. They're going to do a chart. I selected chart up here, and it's going to show me how Plymouth, persons under 5 years, since that's what I selected, is compared to other places. Again, these are charts that if you want to use for your paper, you can. Here it's comparing with a lot of places, so you might just go through here and select, use the plus to select specific places. And it'll pop up and compare it. And then you can print it, you can export it out, all those kinds of things. So Again, you can go select a specific fact and just focus in on those things. All kinds of information there. Okay, so hopefully that gives you a good overview of how to get those basic facts. Now let's look at another tool that they have. We're going to go back to their homepage. So up in the corner, you can click on their logo and go back. You can also browse by topic. So you can go in here, and let's say we want to look at information about education. You can go in here, and they're going to give you some basic information and articles. And this is going to be a little bit broad, but as you scroll down a little bit, they're going to give you some data sets. And these are from the American Community Survey, so they're going to dig down a little deeper than the basic information we saw before. And I'll show you another way to access this as well. But some of these publications could be used as sources. And again, you can just kind of see some of the names of things that they have. And they have a lot more than just what they show here. Those are just some of the more recent ones. Let's go, and I'll show you a better way to find something specific. If you go to Explore or Browse by Topic, again, you can find what we just did and find the general topic and then dig a little deeper. You can also hit Explore Data and look through here, and we're going to go to the main page. And they're going to redirect us to data.census.gov, so we'll go there. And again, they're going to mostly have you looking through their search tool. There's an advanced search that you can do to kind of filter it down a little bit. So let's try Education, Indiana. And they're going to want us to use a filter. We'll use educational attainment. And then down at the bottom, we're going to hit search. So here we go. And again, they're going to bring some of this up. Some of this may not be directly related to Indiana because I don't think I searched quite right. But you can see here that they're going to give some information here. And now let's go back and show how to filter to find a specific state. So we've done one filter, educational attainment. Let's add another filter, geography. And let's look under state in Indiana. So now we've added another filter. And if this seems a little bit advanced, keep in mind this is kind of like searching on Amazon or some of the other shopping websites, right? You're searching, you're going to choose maybe a specific style of clothing. You're looking for pants or shoes or whatever. And we use these filters in searching and other things like on shopping sites in everyday life. We just need to apply some of those things to this particular type of search. So now that we've selected this, and we can search within a state and find more things to look there. All right, so we've done our search. Now we can go back up here, hit search again. And it's weird that the search thing sometimes bounces around a little bit. But there it is, up at the top this time. We've looked at it, and now it's giving us some specific data about how many people in Indiana have a bachelor's degree or higher. And it's going to give us this nice table down here about educational attainment that breaks it down into various categories. And look through here. And you can click on this table to actually go see it in a bigger way. And again, it's going to give us a lot more information and break it down into different demographic categories. All right, so I know that sometimes it gives a lot of information and You can see there are other reports here, and sometimes it can get a little bit overwhelming. This is something where I'm happy to help you out with like a little bit on this and give you some ideas, work with the librarians, either at a library or, of course, Ancilla College Public Library would be glad to help you. I've played around with this a little bit more. It does change every couple of years, so it keeps me on my toes. So sometimes it takes me a little bit, but I'm happy to schedule a time either in my office or over the phone where we can go over some of these things. The last thing that I'm going to show you, let's go back again to the home. So we're going to click up in this logo up in the corner. And they've kept us at this data page, but we can go back. I'm going to show you something else. I've already got it opened up here, but you can find it. I believe, I can't remember if I found it on this page or not, but it's called the Census Academy. You can see I have this tab, and it is part of the data page. See, they're kind of in between versions of the website, so it's a little bit tricky. But probably if you Google Census Academy or something like that, you can find it. What this is a lot of different trainings. So if this is something that you're interested in learning more, you can scroll down and they actually have videos and trainings on how to look for something. So if you think, wow, this is what I really like to look for, I'm not sure how to do it, you can go here and they give some examples how to access this kind of data, or this kind of here's how to access an ACS data profile about your community. And they have some training videos to help you learn how to do it. For those of you who may want to even get more advanced, there's all kinds of stuff that you can do. All right, so hopefully this is helpful for you and gives you at least a place to start looking for some information. We'll have a little bit of an exercise to challenge you and let you practice on this as well. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me at any time. I'm always glad to help you. Thanks for watching, everybody.